This is Tom Weaver.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out. Can everybody hear? Okay, this is a little different. Usually I do things completely spontaneous, as you can tell. So, we're going to do this one pretty much spontaneous as well. What is the Tea Party movement? What is it that unites us together? What makes everyday Americans come out in a light drizzle, kind of cold, and spend a Sunday afternoon? There are no leaders to this movement.
Freedom!
That's right. There are no leaders, there are no rules, there are no dues paid. There's just we Americans. If I may, I want to spend a few minutes and talk about the glue, the spirit, and indeed the common beliefs that bring us together. I am Tom Weaver. I'm from Westford. And I believe that what we believe in is within the DNA of every single American. Every single American. And those ideals are embraced by the Tea Party. Years ago, families and adventurers, individuals, idealists, they fled the old world. And they were searching for something new. They were searching for religious freedom. They were searching for opportunity that wasn't taxed by the nobles. They were searching for self-fulfillment versus being told what to do by the ruling class. They indeed were searching for freedom. They accepted that it would be hard work. They accepted there would be no guarantees whatsoever. They accepted that there would be no government assistance. They accepted that the outcome would be up to them. And they accepted that they needed to rely solely upon themselves, their God, their family, and their friends. The hardships these people endured to reach this land were unknown at the time, and yet they came. The uncertainty of the voyage was huge, and yet they longed for freedom. This is something these people had never experienced, and yet they came. And when they got here, they set up small government, local government. They met at a meeting house, a tavern. They got together and discussed things. If they needed common defense, they organized a militia. If they needed general welfare, they built the bridge. But if somebody was sick, somebody hit rough times, it wasn't the local government that went and assisted them. It was the people themselves, and they did it with charity. And then the crown. That remote, faraway British government needed money, and they needed to refill their coffers. They had tried to conquer the world, and they didn't. So they looked at the land with the most wealth. And the land with the most wealth was the colonies. And let me tell you, that one simple act, the redistribution of wealth from the colonies to the motherland, to bail out bad decisions, corruption, and poor policies, ignited the Tea Party movement, of which we are all proud descendants. As Americans, we have three documents that bring us together, that unite us as a special nationality. Documents written within the spirit of the original Tea Party. We're responsible for this gift of freedom, and please understand, it takes work. The principles and truths expressed in our founding documents are indeed in the DNA of all Americans when you think about it. Americans yearning for a better life, striving for freedom and desiring fulfillment. There are 5 truths to the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And if I can paraphrase, when our government becomes overly intrusive, we have the right to replace them. Our founders realized that these truths, these principles of basic human dignity would require that you and me as citizens remain vigilant and responsible. Our founders had escaped British dominance, despotism, monarchies, benevolent dictators, collectivism, and tyranny, which is why they believe that the power of government must come from the governed, and that the governed could change the government if it became unacceptable. The founders also understood that equality only happened once. We're created equal, and after that it was up to the individuals to determine the outcome. Our founders believed that we all had a God-given right to pursue happiness. They understood that government could never give us happiness. It was up to us to chase our dream at our own pace. It was up to keep the fruits of our labor, the majority, for ourselves and our families, to do with that what we wanted, not what the government wanted us to do. And they understood that we would fail. But being a country of freedom, if we failed, we're able to get up, brush ourselves off, and start over again without the government interfering. Indeed, our founders believed that the sole role of the federal government, as far as the pursuit of happiness, was to stay out of the way. That was it. Now the Constitution. Never before in the history of man had a group of people got together to discuss what they wanted to do, put it in writing, spread it around for people to comment, and then adopt it. The Constitution was a roadmap of all the lessons learned, and it mirrored exactly what the Declaration of Independence said. The spirit and intent of the Constitution is in the preamble. There's 6 items in the preamble. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and provide for and promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Securing liberty is the #1 function of the Constitution. You see, the Constitution gives us a platform to create just laws, because liberty without just laws is meaningless. We'd have nothing. Our framers understood life and equality under the law when they talked about justice, and they talked about ensuring domestic tranquility. You see, they believed that we had the opportunity to be guided under a Republican form of government. That's limited power, checks and balances, equal but separate branches, and it's also a civic responsibility. Our framers decided there would be no nobility, and contrary to what we might think today, our framers also said there would be absolutely no class warfare. And they also believed that the power to govern came from us, the governed, not from the government. Keep that in mind. Our framers also understood that governments like to expand, kind of like I like to talk, okay? And they put a phrase in the Constitution called promote the general welfare. That phrase limited the power of the government, because every law, every act that the government did was applied to our nation as a whole, not to an individual, not to Congress only, and not to a special interest, but every law was to apply to all of us on the whole. They also knew that without limiting the power and reach of the government, there would be no pursuit of happiness, because the government, not the governed, would be calling all the shots. During the midst of a great civil war, a war which washed the sins of slavery from our shores because so many men and women bled on both sides, A great leader challenged his everyday friends and compatriots and future generations with words contained in an address at a makeshift cemetery at Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. That from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave their last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, and that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom. What was that cause that these men gave their last full measure of devotion? It was life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And our new birth of freedom comes from us, you and I, realizing that we ourselves are responsible for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And when we come to that realization, let it be known that none of our beloved heroes will have ever died in vain. And that government of the people, by the people, and for the people shall not perish from the earth. Indeed, it is a government of we the people. So in closing, what is the Tea Party movement? It's a renewal. It's a renewal of discovering what the greatness of the United States of America, which differentiates us from all the nations of the world. It is recognizing American exceptionalism. Not be embarrassed about it or apologize for it.
Yeah.
It is realizing. It is realizing that rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness are worth securing once again. It is awakening to the fact that our God-given rights have been slowly eroding through Republican and Democrat administrations, through Republican and Democrat-controlled Congresses. And as our rights erode, we are looking more and more like other countries in the world, and that is wrong.
We gotta change it.
It is a recalibration of what really matters to ourselves and our posterity, and what really matters is freedom. Individual, responsible freedom is what matters, not government assistance. The Tea Party movement represents what is great about this country, that individuals can express ideas and discuss options, and they can make an impact. The truths expressed by our founding principles, yes, indeed, that is within the DNA of every single American. And we know the strengths of principles, words like liberty, in God we trust, e pluribus unum. The Tea Party movement has recognized the simple fact that Americans like you and I, we must be involved. We must take it to the next level. And we must be responsible for the future of this country. It's not the politicians in Washington's job. It is ours. It is the Tea Party movement as the original. We have to know that we must secure our rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's up to us. It's up to we, the people. God bless America. God bless all of you, and thank you.